Hello, welcome back to Swinging at Chins, Premier League podcast from across the pond. I am joined, as always, by Aaron in yet another retro Aston Villa
Love
kit.
it. Got that Mueller kit.
Oh, buddy, man. The 90s were just a style that I do not understand.
It doesn't have to be understood.
Also joined by Woodsy, who is in, I believe, a retro Liverpool kit.
90-91.
There it is.
There you
last
go.
Time, they won the Prem prior to Klopp coming, so good year.
Believe it or not, I am actually in a retro Arsenal kit. You cannot buy this version anymore because Adidas screwed up.
Oh, really?
But it
only has 32 matches of the Invincible season on the side instead of 38. And they stopped all sales and you can't get it. So this is now a collector's item. I probably shouldn't even be wearing it.
Probably true.
As you say, put that in a frame and don't touch it.
Yeah.
No, I'm hoping it's free. I'm hoping I get the refund.
Ooh.
We'll see. It also has a Champions League patch. So after next year, that could be a massive collector's item for Arsenal. Depends on how everything goes. All right, on the show today, we pick up where we left off. We have our overachievers, our underachievers. You get our team of the season. And there's no good, like, what the worst team of the season is. Like, there's a team of the season. There's no good, like, worst of the season. But anyway, you're getting both. There's a lot of arguments to be had. I'm not going to be happy by the time we're done. We did learn through talking about this. I am much better at picking out bad players than I am about picking out good players because there were a ton of arguments on all of my best picks. My worst picks, everyone's like, yeah, no, that works. So there's that. But first of all, the major thing that's going on in football today is Saudis want all of your unwanted players, whether they can legally take them, whether they have ties to your club, whether they have any of that. Woodsy, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, it's. We may not be realizing it now, but it's likely a big altering moment for the sport. Whether we're really thinking about it in depth, the way I think a lot of journalists are finally starting to do it. I think it's 4, 5, 6 years a little too late, in all honesty. But I think what we're seeing is money has influence over everything. And no matter what happens with the sport, no matter what happens with players, agents, coaches, teams, fans, nothing matters. Nothing matters because it all comes back down to money. So I think what we're seeing now, we have the Ruben Neves thing that came out today. Basically what's happening is, we got ways that Saudi Arabian owners are figuring out how to circumvent financial fair play. And they're doing it. I mean, it's pretty clever when you think about it, but they're doing it so blatantly obvious. It's a slap into the face. It's a slap to the face of everybody that watches the sport.
Let's start off just a little bit before then, because this all started with Chelsea, and so everyone likes to say Todd Boehly owns Chelsea. Todd Boehly is definitely the American face that they put on Chelsea, and Todd Boehly has skin in the game. But he is not the only people who own Chelsea. He did not have $611 million just to spend on transfers after buying a club.
Correct.
He is backed in part by a Saudi-owned business, majority-owned. Chelsea needs to offload £100 million worth of players to make FFP work. They just got 60 to 65. I don't know if add-ons count, with Arsenal picking up Kai Havertz today. But Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, I think there was Koulibaly. We're all going to go to the Saudi League.
Arte went for free, but he still went.
Yeah, but he still went.
There was something in there.
And they were all going to go to the Saudi League to make sure that Chelsea's able to make FFP. That was bad enough. And now on top of this, the Ruben Neves thing came out today.
And I think that's the icing on the cake there. That's the cherry on top that basically is going to get this thing. I got to go back to what Gary Neville said this morning. I don't know if you guys caught it. Gary Neville basically laid it out like there has to be an embargo. There has to be some type of halt to whatever's happening because it's blatantly obvious. I mean, to be honest with you, if it's Stevie Wonder is going to come out here right now and be like, that seems like cheating. And I can't tell you he's not lying because he's not. So
just so we're clear, because I don't think we actually touched on what the Ruben Neves thing is.
yeah,
Ruben Neves is being bought by Al Nassr or one of the teams. I don't remember which one. And it looks like he is going to be immediately loaned to Newcastle, which
so
means
that 50 million pounds that was supposed to be paid is being paid by the Saudi club, so that Newcastle United don't break financial fair play rules in order to get other players. Like it looks like they're just about to sign Sandro Tonali for 70 million euros. So that's 120 million, or that's roughly 110 million pounds being altered right there, and only 60 of it's going to count.
yeah,
That's basically what we're talking about.
And I think this is the bridge too far. I think this is when it becomes too obvious. All right. I feel like they would have got away with, like, all right, Chelsea, you want to offload a bunch of players that you don't want to the Saudi leagues. Well, hey, they're already doing that anyway, but now this flip. I mean, there have been times where a player has been bought and then immediately loaned. Usually it's back to the team that did the selling, and that's part of the agreement. That's hey, we don't want this guy gone, but we know you want him. If you give us money now, he could be a little bit cheaper. We want to use him. This is a straight, I'm paying you over here and I'm using the player over here, and it's still me. It's still my money. It's still a team is directly benefiting. A team that is owned by the same teams is directly benefiting from this type of stuff. And it's just,
It's dirty.
Would have thought I'd be happy to have an American owner who seems to just not be able to spend enough money.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be Liverpool. Our owners took 37 million pounds from us.
Oh, everybody took money from everybody at that point. You could be Leicester, where they took the money and nothing came back.
5 years,
Yeah, right.
There's only one team that spent less than us in the Premier League. Apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
But it came
That's
out in
true.
an article today. That's stupid. But
Spent less or net spend less?
I guess it's the amount, it's the amount of money that the owners put into the club. The owners took out, made 37 million pounds from Liverpool. Yeah, I know, right?
Huh.
Yeah, Manchester City apparently only put in 81 million, which
Only.
right now that's not true.
Apart from the fact, that Etihad Airlines and the Etihad and just all of that.
Yeah, the Etihad yoga sponsorship you'll see on their jerseys next year.
All right. Aaron, do you have anything you want to add? I feel like we touched on most of it. Just
No, I mean,
this is awful. We hate it.
No, it feels terrible. I mean, in the group chats, I've been saying that this doesn't feel right. None of this is fair. Is obvious word. It's just a disgusting feeling that, like, I'm all for players getting their money, right? Like these players who are actually getting transferred and getting millions of dollars. Fine, I get it. But this whole debacle that's unfolding is just, it's raunchy, it's dirty, it makes you feel wrong. And hopefully somebody steps in and says, no, we can't let this happen, or else it's just going to be an avalanche that they'll never stop.
Agree. And the thing is, you're not going to see UEFA, you're not going to see FIFA step in. So who is it? It's got to be governments, you think, right? Who's left?
It would have to be the English government, right? Like they can't.
Well, I mean,
but then again,
from a Premier League standpoint, the FA. The FA is the one who brought all the charges against City.
True.
From a Premier League standpoint, the FA, and the FA can always say, no, you can't sign. You can't. We're not going to sanction that transfer. La Liga does it all the time, where they will not allow a player to be transferred if they don't agree with X, Y, and Z, if the money didn't actually change hands, whatever. Yeah. The FA could be the ones to step up. It doesn't have to be UEFA, and it doesn't have to be FIFA. It should, but we all know that it won't.
Yeah, right.
So then it becomes the FA. It could also be the Premier League. The Premier League could step up and tell the other teams, you can't do this, except for right now, enough teams were getting enough of the pie, and a rising tide, raises all ships. From a Premier League standpoint, Roman Abramovich buying Chelsea was one of the best things that ever happened to the teams in the Premier League. Roman Abramovich buying Chelsea was one of the worst things that happened in football. But from a Premier League standpoint, we want to make a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. It stopped being the United and Arsenal and sometimes Liverpool show. And at the time, sometimes Liverpool was doing very well in Europe and what have you. But it stopped being this 3-team league, and suddenly everyone got better. And then we had the top 4, and the top 4 was always the same teams. And then it became the top 5 and then the top 6. And now we're looking at a top 7. If Roman Abramovich doesn't buy Chelsea, I don't think that the Emirates buys City. And whether we like it or not, City becoming this incredibly good team has been good for the Premier League. The Premier League's the richest sport in the world, and it's not close. And everybody gets, just the TV money alone. You get more money for finishing last just in TV rights than you get for winning La Liga. It's massive. So yeah, why would we stop it? But now you have entire states that are going to be taking away money from established teams, and the Cronkies and the Fenway Sports Groups and these other teams can step forward and say, no, let's put a halt to it. So that's one of the things where, because a lot of people are saying, well, everyone was okay when Roman Abramovich did it. Well, yeah, everyone was okay when Roman Abramovich did it. He was an oligarch, but it was one guy, and it wasn't as egregious. And everyone was kind of okay with City doing it. But as much as City like to buy teams, they've never taken a Ruben Neves player, sold him off to another league, and then loaned him right back to their team.
That's true.
That's not happened yet. And
yeah.
There's no good way to hide it. Some of it is apathy. A lot of it's apathy. A lot of it's not paying attention. Woodsy started off with, we should have been talking about this 6-7 years ago. I would argue we should have been talking about it almost 20 years ago, because Abramovich bought Chelsea in 04-05. Mm-hmm. That was when all this crap really, really started, if we want to go back to it. But now that I think there's more of an incentive for everyone else to finally pump the brakes on it, because now everyone else isn't going to be making money. Europe makes you too much money now. FFP regulations, unfortunately, help out the bigger guys as much as they hurt them. We always use them to say this is going to be the sanctions that stop the big teams, but it's all based on your revenue. So Arsenal will always get to spend more money than Luton Town, because Luton Town plays in someone's backyard. It's you're never going to have the revenue, which is why you see these big stadiums get built. I don't know. I have hope that the FA will do something. Most of that hope is because the FA at least came out with saying, hey, City, here's 115 times you screwed up. There hasn't been any punishment from that, but at least they said it. They're not completely turning a blind eye.
I could even see that if anybody's going to have some backlash, if anyone's going to come and try to come after the Saudis, come after, obviously, because you got to think who's got each other's backs at this point. Chelsea, United, maybe United, depending on who ends up owning them in the near future. But Chelsea, City, Newcastle, those are the 3 teams that are going to back each other. They're going to go with wherever each other's going to go. So the rest of the clubs, Arsenal, American owners, Liverpool, American owners, Fulham, American owners. I believe Crystal Palace is an American owners. But
who bought Villa, Aaron?
Half and half, half American and an Egyptian.
Yep, and Leeds just got owned. They're not in the Prem anymore, but Leeds just got bought by an American entity. So I think everyone outside of that little tight knit group, that those 3 teams, at least has to come together and do something and talk to the Premier League. I don't think the FA will listen to this yet. I think if it goes to the Premier League first, I think the Premier League will say, let's see if an FA investigation's the next route. But I gotta believe that the amount of money that's going to go between these big clubs, their smaller clubs, and the money that's going to be tossed to the higher ups, the governing bodies that oversee all this, the money that goes that way is the most important money to find out, because how much of the money, how much they have in Saudi Arabia, unlimited amount, basically. How much of that is going to the higher ups to make sure that things stay where they need to stay? That's what I think is follow the money trail, and that's where I think we'll end up getting, and we'll actually have some resemblance of what the league used to be.
I agree, and you bring up Bill Foley as well, Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You bring up American. I don't even think it's just American. I think that's one of the things that this is the other thing that's optics. A lot of people are going to say, well, you just don't like it now because the people are the wrong skin color. I do not care who owns it. In fact, I loved what his name fell out of my head, but the Leicester City owner.
Oh.
What he did with Leicester.
His last name anyway. I've tried so many times.
I do not care about the skin color. It's about owners. I mean, we talk about fans versus owners. Now this is owners versus nation states. Yeah. This is entire countries. Abramovich was not a country. He was an oligarch and he was part of it. But he's not he's not a country. It's an entire country. If the U.S. government bought Arsenal and started pulling this crap, everyone would be up in arms about it. And that's essentially what's happening. Oh, no, it's the royal family. Yeah, okay. You can't vote in the UAE. It's what it is. It's the country.
And you look at people trying to rip on, what about all the atrocities America's done? The American atrocities, I don't think equivalent to what is actually going on in the Middle East. You can't take a guy that owns a baseball team out of Boston and tell me he's worse than the guy that beheaded a journalist in Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, it doesn't add up. They don't add up. And
it doesn't add up.
Watching, listening, I don't care if you think that, they should basically null and void each other out. But no, it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's also a conflation of people. Like, I'm an American, so all American atrocities. He's a member of the family that did that to the journalist.
Yes.
It's you're a little bit closer to home, and I'm the first one to say the sins of the father, not the sins of the son. But I mean, actual blood money versus I don't know. Let's talk about fun stuff. We'll have a fight of a different kind because I can tell you right now, you guys are not going to agree. First, we're doing our TOTS, our lovely TOTS, our team of the season. I'm going to override you on one player. Apart from that, you guys have at it. First one is going to be goalkeeper. I still think oh my God, I've said his name so many times yesterday and I can't remember.
You don't get it. Yep. You don't get it then.
I still think that he deserves a good shout. But no one gets points for guessing who Aaron's goalkeeper of the year is going to be, and no one gets any points for guessing who's Woodsy's goalkeeper of the year is going to be. So I'm going to go take a nap. You guys fight it out.
Okay, bye.
I think statistically the best keeper in the league was Alisson Becker. He's the only reason why I think Liverpool finished, you would say top half, let alone fifth. I would easily say that his saves and crucial moments alone, how many one-on-ones he had, how many penalty saves he had. I think he had 2 or 3 penalty saves as well. I would say Alisson Becker's got to be my guy. And I know you're going to go with Emi Martinez, but I gotta go Ali on that.
I just don't think here's goals against in the 90s. In the 90s, I'll say. One goal per game, per 90 for Emiliano Martinez. Alisson gives up 1.16. That's a lot.
I think I will say
we're really splitting hairs, but
I do think a lot of it is down to I think the organization of the Unai Emery defense. I think helped out with that stat a little bit as far as Emi Martinez.
If we're talking goals per 90, then it's got to be Ederson. Are we picking Ederson?
I've always said here, I'm going to throw.
I think he's the most overrated keeper in the league, to be honest with you.
Ederson is the best goalkeeper Brazil has.
Oh, my God.
No, that's factually wrong.
All right, Alisson
that is factually wrong.
Oh, God. He's not even better
than I mean, goals per 90.
He just won a UCL. He won a treble. Well, partly. He won actually. Technically, Ederson won 2 out of 3 because he didn't start.
But I think if you put Alisson Becker in Ederson's shoes, and you put Alisson Becker in those games, does any team score against them? I really don't think anybody does. If you put Ederson in Alisson Becker's shoes, Liverpool might be 12th or 11th in the table.
All right. So one thing I want to bring up, because I'm not actually going to keep my mouth shut for this. What's he saying? Statistically, Alisson's the best goalkeeper. He's getting that because of, and it's called saved goals is what they're using. They're getting that from FB.
It's an individual stat.
Reference.
That's why I go with it. It's an individual stat that tests the goalkeeper.
What I think's interesting is Liverpool. So Alisson difference between expected goals and actual goals is 9.1. Tied with 9.1 is Bernd Leno at Fulham. Now, I'm not saying that Bernd Leno should be considered it because he can't defend set pieces. He is incredibly good shot stopper, and that I think that's where this is the crux of my argument. And I'm not saying that Allison doesn't deserve it. This is the crux of my argument. There is more to goalkeeping than just stopping shots. Allison does other things very well, and he does other things much better than Bernd Leno does. But if we're talking pure shot stopping ability, Bernd Leno and Allison are technically level.
Oof.
Yeah. Bernd Leno was always. There were times when Bernd Leno was at Arsenal. He looked like the best shot stopper in the world. Just we gave up a corner, and then he'd give up a goal. So it didn't matter.
I would even throw in there Allison's intangibles, I think, are probably the best in the league, and I think they get oversought because of what he does in net, and who people expect are the people in front of him. You know, Virgil van Dijk had a terrible year. Joel Matip was basically a ghost for 7-8 months. Joe Gomez might as well put his shorts on backwards and just walk back in the tunnel. He's terrible. Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing right back when we all knew he wasn't interested in playing right back this year. Fabinho was non-existent. Henderson was non-existent. All these guys play in that, for the majority of the season, play in that spine, except for Trent. That spine's got to protect the keeper. If you can't do that, you're basically making a guy go one-on-one most of the time. So that's why I think Allison, his one-on-one stats were great. I think Allison is the best keeper, in my opinion. That's my end of debate for that one. I'll let you guys figure it out.
I'm not even I can't argue the fact that he's got all these great accolades, right, Allison? I can't argue that because I did say that in the group chat too. That
if we're gonna,
the UCL thing, or out of tournament European stuff, and I was about to say Emmy won a World Cup.
Yeah, you're the one who said.
I know. That's why I said I pumped my brakes and I stopped. But like the intangibles, you want to go to the intangibles? I think Emmy he knows how to direct his defense. He knows how to beat one-on-one players on one-on-one. Who was it? The end of the season. Oh, he made a beautiful leg save, just like he did in the World Cup. I mean, the guy makes you think that he's going to do one thing, and then he baits you doing another. And he's the most wonderful goalkeeper, and he should go nowhere. If you're hearing this, do not go anywhere else. Anyway, his save percentage is at 74%, and Allison sits just below that at 72%. And I understand like shutout percentages are a little bit lopsided because we weren't good.
You can't go there. David De Gea had the most clean sheets. We can't go there.
That's what I'm.
The stat's broken.
I was going to say it's a skewed stat.
That's why I think there's a lot of team stats that show
what's the problem with the goalkeeper though? Is that everything's based off of your team positioning.
I was going to bring that point up, and I was going to bring it onto the back of Matt's point, Woodsy's, when he was talking about how awful the team was in front of Allison this year. And it's like, well, that's why the goalkeeper of the year is always from a mid-table team. They're not so bad that they're letting in a ton of goals, but they're not so good that everyone says, oh, well, it's just because they have so-and-so in front of them. I am going to make an executive decision because we still have now 21 players to pick after this. I'm going to go Allison, and I'm going to do it for one reason. And he was once a gooner, always a gooner. But that Emi Martinez own goal against Arsenal, that's the one. That's the difference. That's the difference for me.
Emi Martinez and his dancing is far and away the best bit in the Premier League ever. No,
I will say
cannot match that.
He may have.
If it was Shithouser, if it was Shithouse 11, Emi Martinez is in, and we're already in the midfield at this point. We're not even arguing anymore.
I can say Andy Robertson fills the other 10 positions.
All right, moving on to defense.
Yes, please.
Left back, just going to type him in because we all pretty much agree. Trippier had an absolutely amazing season.
Right back, right?
Is he? Right back. Well, all right. So I don't think we have a true left back, actually.
That's true.
So I'm going to put him there. We're kind of treating defense as
a whole.
a blob. You guys, and this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to put Stones in because I think Stones absolutely deserves it. In fact, Tifo had a wonderful video arguing that Stones should be player of the season.
Really?
Yeah. What he was able to do from the back end in City was amazing, but it was more about ball movement and less about pure defense. And that's the issue. You start getting into this. I mean, I can't pick him because he was too injured, but if we're talking about overall most valuable person in the left back position, if he was healthier for longer, it would need to be Zinchenko. If we're talking about overall most valuable person in the right back position, there's a very good argument to have, maybe not this year, but in past years, that it's Trent Alexander-Arnold. But if we're talking about right back as a defender, it cannot be Trent Alexander-Arnold, nor could it be Zinchenko because Zinchenko doesn't defend as well. Mm-hmm. So that's the issue, right? So he played in this position versus he's a defender. And from this, we're trying to go from a defense standpoint.
Okay.
Our next person is Botman, if I can spell. And we have the last position open.
So I'm going to throw some names out there. I think there's two guys that got to get a clear shout. Estupinian from Brighton. I thought he was the best. I thought he was the best probably overall fullback. I thought there were moments where the guy was just flawless. Defending, he was more of a two-way for a lot of the year. Had a couple assists, I believe. Had a goal.
A couple goals. Yeah.
I thought Estupinian was great. But I can't overlook Nathan Ake either. He just stood out to me all season, and I'm surprised at how he kind of turned it on at City. Because last year I didn't think he was. I mean, he wasn't a quarter of the player he is now. Now he looks like a completely different animal.
You got anyone you want to add, Aaron?
I actually, as much as we poo-poo on Leeds, I'm actually going to pull somebody from Leeds. It's Pascal Struijk. I thought he actually. What?
I can't agree with that one.
No?
How many goals did he let up against Liverpool this year?
Well,
7 in 2 matches, 6 in 1 game.
Okay, well, that was just an outlier. And personally, Millier's kind of terrible.
I believe he also gave up 5 against City.
Well,
I can't go
again, I'm going to go with Millier. He was terrible. I also wanted to throw in another Newcastle, and it was Dan Burn. Dan Burn. He was transitioning, so he did the whole Ben White thing, and I actually wouldn't mind if Ben White was in here either because I thought that he played really well as well. But Dan Burn had to cover for somebody out in the right back position, and he just stuck there.
If we were going for right backs and not just defenders, I would be making a hard push for Ben White right now.
I still think that Dan Burn was the reason why Trippier was so good, because he was able to trounce up the field, and then they were able to run a 3-back system and cover, have the attacking ability to always swing Trippier up top while still maintaining your defensive structure. I think Dan Burns' evolution of big, tall CBs moving out to wide positions has influenced the game.
So I mean, well-made points, and I will probably put Dan Burns as a substitute under who I'm going to put. But for me, I think it has to be Ake. And the reason why is because he let City, when Kyle Walker just decided to lay an egg and have a horrible middle of the season, he allowed City to do a 3 at the back and still maintain just this wonderful defensive shape. And I mean, we didn't even talk about Ruben Diaz. This could very easily just be City's back line, and let's move on. I think Ake was just so good, and I think his ability to just completely own the entire right half of the field, because he didn't have an actual real wing back out there. Yeah. I think from a value standpoint, if that's how we're going to make this argument, I think he was just too good. That being said, let's see how substitute works. Dan Burns.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like
There you go. Honorable mention.
The fact that Burns' success and yep, I just dropped his name out of my melon. Give me right back. But Ben White being able to transition was something that Pep looked at and was like, okay, we could do the same thing too, where we have that inverted winger kind of style, and it's working for other clubs. Let's try it here. And I'm not like, obviously Ake was very good and he was able to step in and be magnificent, but I'm saying that Pep was able to also implement the same thing that some other teams were doing. And
I agree with that. If we're gonna go with who did it first, then Ben White's got to be there, because Ben White from game one was a right back. Dan Burns filled a need. Ben White was always going to be the right back this year. So until Thomas Partey became the right back. So
you know what? Fair
go
enough.
figure.
This is
all right. To who we agreed, I think we all agreed on midfield.
Did we really?
I believe. Yep.
Oh yeah, we did.
There are.
I mean, honestly, there should be an honorable mention for Now Paulinho and Guimaraes.
Yeah, those are the only two I think that deserve. You can even say Gundogan too, but I would even say that compared to these guys, I think it's a stretch.
Yeah,
Gundogan because it came in too late.
That's where I was going with that.
I feel like KDB and Odegaard are two of the best attacking-minded midfielders like in the world right now.
Yeah.
And then Rodri was just he's so good, and he is such a he takes advantage of any situation that's put in front of him. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You saw Thomas Partey have like moments where he could do it, but Rodri just like that eats, that's his lunch all the time. It is amazing what he can do.
Red cards and Rodri.
Yeah, that's also true.
Challenges. That's how I'm just saying. He's a damn good player, but my God, there's some moments where I'm like, boy.
Yeah.
I think that's I like that midfield. I think if you could pick any three midfielders in the world, you would really be hard pressed to find three better ones than that. I think Guimaraes did great for a huge part of the season, and I'm glad that he's at least made like the substitute. And if you guys want to go back at any point to add any substitutes, but I think those three's got to be it. Now on to where we don't necessarily agree again. I'm going to go to this player because this player is obvious and easy.
Neil Maupay, right?
Yep, that's it. He's a guy. It's actually Danny Welbeck, amazingly. We're going to have Theo Walcott on the right wing. So,
well, you know what? They both had decent seasons. No, I'm serious. Danny Welbeck had a decent season.
He did have a decent season, but come on.
I'm not saying he's deserving. I'm just saying he had a decent season.
All right. Talking as attackers and not necessarily as their positions. We had a lot of names get thrown out here. I think Harry Kane is definitely deserving. If we're going to use the Alisson argument of where would Liverpool be without Alisson, I do not think Tottenham are in the top half of the table without Harry Kane. No. Now the question is going to become, because Harry Kane is such an out-and-out striker, does he get a starting position or does he fall under as a substitute?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because I do think that there are some players that just make their living on the wings and they should be brought up. I'm okay with either one. It's just a question that I have.
See, where did they finish? 8th? Tottenham?
9th.
Yes.
8th, 9th?
8th.
So, I mean, if we are going to use that, I mean, would they have finished second? I mean, if you go 4 more games, at least you add 4 more games at the end of that season, they're going to finish second half either way, right? They were that bad. That team. And
they had definitely given up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they probably would have ended up there either way. That guy could have scored 40 goals. They were probably going to end up there. Man, that's a good point though. You know what? I'd say put him in the starting lineup. 30 goals in a season is
remarkable. Any other season,
good. Yeah.
That's a golden boot.
Yeah.
All right, now for the argument. The argument position.
Yep.
I'll let you guys go first.
Why? Why do you want to not go first? Because you just want to be able to rebuttal.
I'll
easily?
go first. I'll go Mohamed Salah. Come on now. He nearly became the first player to go 20-10 in 3 seasons in the Premier League. Him and Thierry Henry are the only guys to do it twice. He almost did it a third time. They're the only players that have ever done it twice. So I would give him, a leg up. I do think his he is. I mean, if we're gonna count Europe and all that stuff, he is one of the top 5 goal contributions in Europe.
Made it very clear we're not counting Europe.
All right,
Yep.
all right.
We're also not counting past seasons.
Okay, yeah. He would have made it in last year too. No, I'm just kidding. I do think he was the only consistent player for us. Played every single game, and I do think he even, to a point in the big games came up clutch. Scored a goal, scored a winner against City. Had I believe 2 goals, 3 goals, 2 assists against United. Scored another goal and another assist against Newcastle. Arsenal, he had a goal and an assist against Arsenal in that game at Anfield. And I believe he had an assist in the first game. I think he's the biggest big game player the league has outside of Erling Haaland. Outside of KDB. I think he's the biggest big game player the league has. I thought he proved it this year. So there's my pitch.
I want to point out that 3 goals, 2 assists was against a United team that didn't have Casemiro, so it doesn't count.
I'm gonna say we take out the United match and the Bournemouth match, and he comes right back down to earth.
Yeah.
I don't think he had anything in that Bournemouth match. I don't think he even had an assist. That 9-0, I don't think he had any goal contributions.
I will throw out a guy who has been super clutch. His name's Ivan Toney. You talk about last-minute clutchness against City for Salah. Ivan Toney did the same thing. I mean, the guy's an absolute monster. 20 goals this season, and he got suspended the last 2 matches.
I had money. I had money on it. You'd say him.
Oh well, I figured, right? I'm sure he had money on me saying it too.
Yeah, right.
I don't bet, but that's a pretty safe bet. For me, and I know it's going to be my only real homer for me, Bukayo Saka on the right wing was so good this year. He didn't have the total stats that Mohamed Salah did, but he double digits in goals, double digits in assists, played every single match. One of the most fouled players in the league. Again, so Salah. I mean, that's deserving. That goes both. Where he really speaks out, Salah's definitely a better finisher. He is better at progressions. He's better at take-ons. He's better at touches. He has almost as many touches in the box, and he blows Salah away from a defensive standpoint. His tackles and interceptions are way above where Salah is. 2 slightly different types of players, but I think what Saka was able to give Arsenal on the right side, especially for the first half of the season when Arsenal were, 50 points through 19 matches, was just immense. I'm going to let Aaron decide if Salah goes first or if Saka goes first. Whichever one doesn't get it is getting the sub spot. I have no problems with Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah is an amazing player. But for me, I think Saka was the best overall right wing player in England, definitely, maybe in Europe.
You know what my problem is with both of these guys? Is that both of them tailed off at the end. But they were phenomenal for 2/3 into the season. And that's what's making it difficult. Maybe that makes them the same. I don't know.
Technically, Haaland's tailed off at the end.
Haaland didn't have to do anything at the end.
Oh, now he didn't have to do anything. Now we're back to the goalie argument. He's really good. He just didn't have to do anything.
He's just a goalie, but a striker at the same time, I guess. I don't know. You're killing me, throwing me like this. I gotta go with Saka only because of how immense he was for so long of the season, such a long stretch of the season. And there was times where I just kind of forgot Salah was a goal scorer. There was times where he just was missing Salah goals. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this: if their seasons were reversed and Salah had a better first half, like if Salah was better in the first half and fell off in the second half the way Saka did, and Saka had a terrible first half but was great in the second half, would you have flipped it? Because that's
no. I honestly said they both had kind of the same season. They both had ups and downs. They both kind of I felt like they both tailed off at the end of the season. I mean, even like Saka was hitting bangers and Salah was still hitting bangers.
Anybody see that Saka goal yesterday? Oh my god!
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So it just felt like Salah was kind of showing his age a little bit, or a little bit of his legs were dropping out because he was just missing goals that he
that Liverpool, that Liverpool issue all in the first half of the season, that hangover from being in 4 finals the year before.
Yeah, you see him miss a lot of penalties. Mohamed Salah went a year and a half without missing a penalty,
right? And
which is a lot.
It's just it's a tough decision no matter what. You put me in, it's terrible.
But it's okay because I'm gonna Venmo you the $10. I said I'd Venmo you and everything's fine. I do like the whole Saka Salah.
Should be in.
The Saka Salah is a very nice little in the top right here. I like that. All right, that's our team of the season.
Yeah,
I dig it. It was a good season. It was definitely harder to figure out who.
Invincibles 2 right there.
Could this team actually do that? That's what we're building, right? We're building that kind of.
Who's the manager?
There's only one guy to have done it. I mean, if it's manager from this year,
right now,
it's got to be Pep. It's got to be Pep. As much as I love Klopp, and I do like Klopp, I know a lot of people who hate him. I like him. As much as I like him, right now, Pep has he can get his guys to turn on and off when he needs to.
If it was based off of last season, I'm going Unai Emery. If it's based off of the long haul, I got to go Klopp or Pep. But I thought Unai Emery was my manager of the year last year. Taking a team like that was in 17th place to Europe, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to argue that they were only in 17th place because of Steven Gerrard, and a cat randomly stepping on players' names to pick a starting 11 might have done a better job. Your point is well made, and I have no problems with Uwe. I have talked Unai Emery up a lot. I'm very glad he's doing well at Villa. I think he's a very good manager. I think he's definitely in the top 5, maybe even the top 3 for managers right now.
You know what? Gary O'Neill's available for free. We can get him now.
There you go. But the 17-7 thing is like, no, that was mostly Gerrard just being an idiot. All right. Give me just a second. I'm going to drop this. I'm going to reset it. And then we're going to go for the worst team of the year.
This is fun.
This might have
horrible.
This might have more of a debate and
I don't know. Like, we agreed with quite a lot.
I think it'll come down to the attack, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's true. I think we agree with defense.
Difficult to pick on, to be honest. I was a little flip-floppy on some players.
All right, gonna go very quickly with the obvious choice. If I can just remember how to spell his name.
Bazon. Yep, that's exactly.
Statistically one of the worst goalkeepers maybe ever. Bad. BAD bad.
It's either him or Millier, to be honest.
Millier's got to be up there too. That's a good one.
But I think
one of the
was just terrible. Bazuna, I said
Bazuna was bad all year.
He was like chum in shark-infested waters. That's not fair. Like, that's what they did. Southampton just bought academy players from City, and they're like, okay, go have fun.
Right. I will say though, it's surprising how many teams are interested in this guy after the season he had. I thought nobody would want to touch him. Yeah.
Stop it.
There's rumors about Italy, rumors about the Prem.
Unreal.
It shocks me. I don't think he's that good at all, to be honest with you.
Maybe just because he's 20 years old and they're like,
True.
oh, okay, well, we can fix that.
And again, it comes back to the goalie argument. He had a horrible defense in front of him. Maybe he's really good. All I know is just statistically this year, really bad. And I mean really bad as individual goalie stats go. It still wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think goalie and striker, the two ends of the field, are the ones that need to play with the most confidence more than anything else.
Yeah.
And he had no confidence at any point all year, and I do think that plays into it. But I mean, it was just bad. Yeah.
That or Everson or Ward or literally any of those guys.
any Leicester player.
Or this guy.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout.
I mean, he was broken.
Yeah, but he was also awful.
Yeah, he did have a bad.
That's Millie. How do you spell Millier's name, right?
Sure.
That was
French.
M-E, I think.
M-E?
Yeah, it's French, right? Isn't he French?
Yes, it's super.
I don't know. They can.
There you go. Something like that.
Anyway, so starting out, I think if Woodsy, if you don't agree on this, I'm sorry, but Aaron and I are going to override you.
Yeah.
Lucano is an awful human being and maybe even a worse defender, and he definitely belongs on this list.
And that's hard to do.
Yeah, right. It is hard to do. Coming at player 2, this is going to surprise a lot of people. This was Liverpool's player of the season in January. But I do have to go with
no player scored more goals against Leicester City in any time Liverpool played Leicester City than Wout Face. So I gotta give it to him.
Poor old Face. Coming up right back, because I think we're all going to agree on this. This is a little bit because of the price tag, but Cucurella was just bad, very bad. Did not have a good season. I think there is a good player there, but it was not seen this season. That's very true of a lot of Chelsea. I mean, we could have very easily just made this the Chelsea team sheet and walked away. But we didn't. And for the last one, we have Smith from Bournemouth.
Hold on. I want to throw one out there.
Let's hear it.
Harry Maguire. I mean, the guy lost a starting gig to a midget.
Left back.
I don't know why I did the whole name. I always do the whole name with him. It feels right. Like their other Maguires shouldn't have to carry the stain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Maguire, and Maguire's a really good point. I think the way he was played by Eric Ten Hag did not help. However, you were the captain of that team, and you went from being the captain to not being able to get a boot on the field in like 2 weeks.
Yep.
It was like a pariah. It was awful.
Listen, if that man played one more game this year, Liverpool isn't in Kazakhstan on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I tell you right now, if that man played one more game,
it's that point.
No way.
And give it up. We were talking about the midget. Lissandro Martinez actually played very, very well. But I do wonder how much of that was just he's not Harry Maguire.
True. That makes so much sense.
All right.
Two really bad center backs in the United's defense. Now it's only one.
Yep. Moving up. I don't know. Minfield's got an awful lot of choices, I think.
I'm going to throw the obvious one out there. Arthur needs to get in there. I don't care. Anybody
says. Arthur does need to get in there.
Listen, guys, Taylor Swift is going to be at Anfield next summer. I'm going to tell you right now, she's already going to have more minutes than Arthur will ever played at Anfield.
It might be that bad. It really might be that bad.
She's got 2 nights. That's more time than he had there.
All right, we got Arthur. We have, and I think this is more than fair, Jesse Lingard. I don't understand how that happened. I don't understand how they got him. I don't understand any of this. This makes no sense. Oh, I have a hold on. I have a substitute. I just want to double check how to spell his name real quick.
Okay. Well, you want to tell us and then we'll spell it.
Yeah, well, I can never actually pronounce his name either, and that's the issue.
Oh.
Is it Langlet or Langley or whatever? The center back from
Langley.
Tottenham.
Langley.
Langley?
Oh yeah, that's
You sure?
Yeah.
Yep. He's actually loaned in from Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Barcelona doesn't always get winners. All right. Everyone makes mistakes.
Hey, man,
He played so bad, Eric Dyer got starting minutes
it's true.
for England again. Because that's how good Eric Dyer looked next to him.
Oh, well, that's fair.
That's how bad he was. And quite frankly, I kind of want to just put Emerson Royale under Lacano, but he did have a couple decent matches.
Yeah.
So it was okay, but he had some absolute screamers too. Just awful, awful matches.
That's a terrible defense. I will tell you right now, that defense, that drips goals, man. I mean, you're probably looking. I mean, just on the defense alone, you're probably giving up at least 4.
You know what's wild is we didn't.
Lianco's going to get burned every time. Cucurella's going to be up here getting his hair braided by the bench warmers, and you got Face and Maguire are going to be defending each other. So,
Pretty much. They're definitely going to make it happen. Next player is Will Hughes from, fell out of my head, I believe, Crystal Palace. Yep.
yeah.
Really, really bad. I mean, at one point he had 3 times the amount of yellow cards that he did starts. No, that wasn't him. That was another player.
I thought that was Smith.
That was Smith. Sorry, I've been doing 10-hour days at work on top of moving. I'm very, very tired. Yeah, Will Hughes had an absolute screamer. Actually, under Arthur, it hurts me to do this, but I'm going to do Brendan Aronson. He was really bad. He was really, really bad.
I'm going to add one more underneath Hughes. I know you're not gonna like this, Rat, but Fabio Vieira.
My only problem with Vieira is he never played. If we're gonna do the minutes argument, but I'm okay with it.
But he
I'm not against Vieira. Vieira had that wonder goal against Brentford early on in the season, or Bournemouth, and did nothing else. And he didn't do well in Europe either.
No.
He looks like a lost little puppy dog, and he was one of the main reasons why anytime Arsenal got off their main 11.
Never understood where he really fits in that midfield. To be honest with you, he needs to be closer to where the Odegaard's playing. And I think they're trying to play him in a role that he's just not used to. He's more of that attacking mid that needs to be on the edge of the box instead of, 10, 20, yards back, sitting, almost above the midway line. So it's a weird little situation they got there with him.
I think it'll pan out.
I don't know. At this point, I'm not sure.
I thought he was
only because now with Havertz coming in.
Yeah.
If
we get Rice as well, I don't know where he plays.
He's a cup. Yeah. He's a cup player.
Yeah.
I mean, domestic cup player. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, sorry. Just realized he has an S.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh my God, he does have an S.
If we're doing spell check, our left back there needs a.
Yep, doesn't have the C. Ooh, we're getting there, guys. Oh no, he does. Hold on.
No, you need to see
Leon Cole. Yeah, C's in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
There we go.
Look at that.
Hey,
if we're doing complete lack of minutes, then I feel like Calvin Phillips has to be in there.
Why did we not think of that?
It was very obvious. In fact, Calvin Phillips may be above Lingard. At least Lingard got to play. It is less. It's less of an argument to not play in City than it is to be that bad at Forest. Oh, I didn't play a lot in City, but hey, it's City, and it's like this. I didn't play. I played like crap in Forest. It's like, well, you got to do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! All right, moving on to attackers. This I think there's going to be a little bit. So Darwin Nunez up top. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God!
Sell him. Right wing has to be Antony. I think absolutely.
I agree. That price
and left wing has to be Richarlison.
I agree with both of those.
So it's just the striker then. Maybe we're only going to have a problem with the striker.
Man, I don't know. I think Mudryk should be
Mudryk's-
You can move Richarlison to that number 9 and put Mudryk on that wing.
And
You wanna do it
I
that way.
still
Or
think
put Mudryk in the
Anthony
middle.
doesn't deserve to be in there versus Mudryk.
I think as the most expensive attacking player brought in this season, I think Anthony has to be up there for the output he had. He had no impact, if you really think about it. They were better at the end of the season. They made Europe after he got injured. That's another good shot right there.
Aaron brought him up, and I do agree. I mean, from Barcelona, supposed to be the savior, and he just wasn't.
Yep.
My only problem with Mudryk, and I'm hesitating on Mudryk because half a season and you're coming into the dumpster fire that was Chelsea.
But you're supposed
he did not perform, and he cost a lot. Anthony, I think is an obvious choice.
Yeah.
He has no left foot.
No right foot. Yeah.
No right foot. Sorry. Yeah, he only has a left foot. The United just went out and said Arsenal got Pepe, so we need to go get Anthony. Like, it's the same, way overpaid. Yeah. Well, I almost want to put Pepe under there, even though he didn't play. It was awful. It was so bad.
I would throw as a backup for Mudryk Sterling. I thought he was awful this year with Chelsea.
I kind of want to put Sterling and then Mudryk under him. We can have an all Chelsea because Sterling had the entire season. He was there the entire time.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do that.
I wouldn't mind that.
I don't want to come off as like this
Chelsea
Arsenal fanboy who's putting all the least favorite people in the top, but all 5 of those guys had really bad seasons. Just like really bad seasons.
I kind of want to say Leon Bailey. He was not great this season.
But he at least had a stretch where he was good, right?
I suppose, yes.
But Charleston had more cards for taking off his shirt and goals that he didn't score than actual goals.
I guess maybe just I'm so critical of Leon Bailey because I want him to be good because he's so damn good for like FIFA video games and shit like that. And I gotta separate that. But
he was great at Leverkusen too.
Oh my god, he's so good, and I want that player. Give me that player. But
actually, I have someone else. That
are you gonna put
Aaron is gonna love?
Jordan.
Aaron's gonna love this edition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Patrick Bamford was very bad.
That guy.
He was very, very bad.
That's a good one.
I can't stand him. I'm so glad he's back in the championship.
Another one that I kind of want to throw out there, but I don't think he's on this list. But I mean, he comes to mind as somebody you would. Not a bad one. Whatever happened to Che Adams?
He was never good. What do you mean? What happened to him?
I mean, he wasn't, but I mean, he had that one. I mean, he had half a good season last year at the end of the year. This year, I mean, I honestly don't remember actually watching him play.
Well, again, when you have a bunch of City Academy players playing in the Premier League, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to have holes are going to be exposed.
Yeah. All right, quick.
We have a lot more substitutes. Let's complete it out. Someone else throw out another center back. That was awful. So we can just complete this because then we can have a full sub team.
If it was Europe, I'd say Joe Gomez.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like there's someone from Leeds we're still missing.
I was looking at West Ham. Maybe.
Oh, you know what? Skamaka's not on here.
Oh, that's true. But I still think Abba was worse. Because.
Yeah. You know what, though? I'm actually going to do this. He had a full season and did nothing.
He was injured.
Still, Mudryk came into a dumpster fire of a season at Chelsea. If he's still this bad next year, he'll be the first name I put on the list.
Damn right he will.
But I don't who comes into that Chelsea team in January and does well. Even Enzo Fernandez didn't do nearly as good as he was doing elsewhere.
Yeah.
Who does anything? I mean, Conte came back and just stopped the bleeding. I don't know. You think it's worth it to do one more?
I wanted to throw out Seamus Coleman, but he's just old. So
it's just old. If you're old but you're there, it's still bad. I think we can be all right. I think we can be good.
Wait,
there.
I got one.
Okay.
Tilo Carrere, I thought was probably the worst overlooked defender in the league this year. Tilo Carrere from West Ham. Well, he had more own goals this year than I think any player in the league.
Well, then I guess he deserves, because if he beats Face, he definitely deserves it.
He was close. I mean, if he's not there, he's close. Those guys are 1-2 when it comes to own goals. Felt like every time I looked up, the guy was scoring on his own net.
Bangers.
Yeah.
Bangers.
I would say Tilo Carrere is the other guy to throw on the list.
I'm just looking up how to spell his name so I don't screw it up.
K-E-H-R-E-R, I think. Look at that. Spelling whiz.
We don't know if that's right yet.
Were you in the 4th grade spelling bee? Were you a champ? I bet you were a champ.
I spelt face right, and it isn't spelled like that, I can tell you.
It is if you're him. All right. Cool. I go with that. I can totally ride with that.
All right. How many goals does our team of the season score on this team?
Score?
How many goals do they score on this team?
32. No, 28.
32.
I thought 32 and I go, wait a minute, that's a Chelsea score.
In a 90-minute match, we are definitely, I said 9 innings, sorry. In a 90-minute match, double digits. It's got to be double digits. By the way, I love where Woodsy just froze. That's amazing.
Yeah, right?
Can that be the thumbnail?
Please screenshot it. Hold on, can I?
I mean, I have to edit all of this.
Oh, well, that's fair.
I'm still going to try to get it now so I have it.
Yeah, he lost.
Yep, that's in there now. He is out. He is out, but we are going to keep that. Guys, if you want to watch the magic happen, this is how it happens. There we go. Now it's even bigger. Oh, now he's gone.
I booted it. Damn it. I just put it in the chat. I think it'd be funny. Anyway. What do we have left to do now, though? Or do we want to just... Oh, we had that.
Let's talk some transfers. We got transfers, man.
Oh, that's too bad. Woodsy would love this part.
Yep. No, I'm sure Woodsy will be back.
We hope so.
He always comes back. Anyway, transfers. Jude Bellingham to Madrid. Let's start off with that one because who saw that coming?
Yeah, everybody.
Cool.
The world.
Leipzig gets Sesko.
Leipzig gets Sesko.
Yep.
Sesko.
No, that's one of his. Villa get Tielemans on a free. I think that's great for you guys. I did not. No one thought that's where he was going.
The odds makers did for some reason. I was like, well, we'll see when he signs the contract, see what happens. But I think this is a good transfer. One, it's free. They did pay a lot of money to convince him to come and play. He's still 26, 27. He's got
good for a couple
experience.
bangers.
He does throw in a couple bangers. It's depth.
And he's lazy.
And well, I actually was looking up. He won. I think he was in the top 10 for winning. Was it interceptions or making tackles in the middle third of the field? So I don't know how true lazy is.
Yeah, because he won't go back to the defending third. So if he's going to tackle you, it's got to be now.
Well, so there's that part where you play on a dumpy team, so you give less than what you're.
Yeah.
So let's hope that we get the Tielemans that they sign at the beginning of the 4-year contract and not the end of the 4-year contract. But.
Woodsy's back, but before we get his thoughts on anything, I'm just going to do Havertz to Arsenal. A lot of Arsenal fans are lukewarm on this. First of all, I will pick Chelsea's bones all day. You need to get on the train with that. Secondly, I think that if we play him as a Xhaka replacement, it is brilliant. And on top of that, everyone says, I don't know where he slots in. If we're actually going to take on teams like City, if we're actually going to compete in the Champions League, we need to start spending that amount of money on players that aren't guaranteed playing time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If they're going to agree and buy in, that's where we're at. And if they're not going to do that, then see you. We have Reese Nelson. Oh, he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone. There's no way he stays. He stays. Why? I have a better chance of winning trophies here. Yeah, I can go get starting time at Southampton in the championship, but I don't want to do that. So I like the Havertz signing. I think Havertz was one of the few bright spots in a very bad Chelsea season. I know some people had Havertz on the worst team of the year. He was on the worst team of the year. He was on Chelsea. So let's see what he does with a good team surrounding him. I don't think he is a world beater. I don't think we're going to win the Prem now because we got him, but I do think he's a pretty decent signing. Woodsy, I'm not going to start off with McAllister. I'm going to start off with, how are you going to feel with Milner and Blue next season?
I got to be honest. He looks good. I think it's a good step for him. Obviously, I didn't think there was going to be, with the amount of incomings that I think Liverpool need in the midfield, I think his time was just about up. There was talks about a 1-year deal. I never really thought that was the case, to be honest with you. I think he's actually going to fit that team perfect. This is a team that's going into Europe now without a player on their team that had played in Europe. He's the first one. So, this is a team that I think needed that veteran expertise to go in there, big games in Europe, for them at least, and kind of take over and instruct guys in how the atmosphere is going to be and get the team, almost kind of be a cheerleader. Because I don't think he starts, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be coming off the bench. 38 years old. He's got to be coming off the bench. But I think he adds the veteran quality that you really can't replace. And to be honest with you, I was hoping he would just retire and become a coach at Liverpool. That's what I was hoping, because he was that important to the backroom staff, to the locker room, to what the coaches wanted to do to help the players in the field execute it, get the young players to understand. And it was kind of that leader, everybody get in line, follow me, let's go. That's what he was. And I think he's going to be fantastic there, to be honest with you.
I agree. Just so everyone's clear, it's Brighton. I said in blue, like there's not 1,500 blue teams. And then
Chelsea, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it ain't Chelsea. We talked about Jude Bellingham to Madrid, Alexi McAllister to Liverpool. Great signing. Anyone who picked him up would have been great signing. I know you're going to gush over him. What I think is amazing is it was, what was it, 45?
35 million.
35. How did no one else
deal? So it looks like, I guess what happened was Liverpool talked to him a lot earlier in the season, went into this contract, found the clause, and was like, all right, they made contact. So the deal, from what I'm hearing, was done in April. Pretty much done, dusted in April. They had the agreement already with McAllister. It was just a matter of going to trigger what was the release clause. There was rumors about City with Gundogan leaving. He was the perfect Gundogan replacement. That never materialized. It looked as though Kovacic was going to be the replacement for Gundogan. So they moved off of him. And that just gave Liverpool a free run. And I'll tell you, man, the guy is going to be phenomenal. He's the exact number 10 that I don't think we've had on that left-hand side since Philippe Coutinho. Maybe not as creative, not as much flair, but I think he's going to be able to go in there, do a job. He's got good pace. He's got a good motor on him, which I think we lacked with Henderson, Milner, Fabinho, guys like that who were just slow in midfield. He's going to be perfect, man. He's actually one of the perfect signings I think we could have got.
I agree. I think there's also a certain point where I think he did pick Liverpool. I think it's not just about who has money and who do they want. He is so happy to be at Liverpool. And it does kind of feel like, people talk about Arsenal even in their bad years. It's the different knock. They come and it's Arsenal and it's all this history. United does it with players all the time. I think for him, Liverpool was just, this is where I want to be. I don't know if it's Klopp. I don't know if he grew up a Liverpool fan. I don't really care. I'm glad he ended up where he's happy. I would have loved to see him. I know we were associated with him in January. I don't know how true any of that actually was. But especially when it's a release clause and it's that low, I think and no one else seemed to be in for him at any point. There's no way no one else was in for him. Yeah. I think the agent was just like, sorry, This has been done since April. He wanted to go one place, and that was that. So it always feels good when you got a player that you know they want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's
His
great.
father.
Say it again.
Maybe
Wasn't his agent his father?
His agent is his father's agent. So the way Liverpool also, you got to think of it this way too. I know this is a crappy way to think about it, but Liverpool is one of, if not the highest when it comes to agent salary fees too. So I mean, there's always that thing you can throw in there. I mean, I don't think it's as big as the likes of Real Madrid, the likes of PSG and stuff like that. But I think they were first or second highest in the Prem last year as far as agent fees for incoming players. So they do good on that front. I'm not gonna lie. Do I like it that way? No, because I think that should be a factor, but maybe it was. Who knows?
It's a little cheap throw in the deal.
It's always a factor.
Yeah.
It's always a factor.
I mean, then again, that's also the reason why Jude Bellingham didn't go to Liverpool. So,
speaking of players who want to be someplace, Messi is at Inter Miami, and apparently he announced that he was going to Inter Miami before the deal was done.
Oopsies.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. It was this whole where am I going? Where am I going? Everyone was hoping for that. Not everyone. Seems like everyone on the internet was hoping for the Barcelona reunion. But now he's going to be getting 2-footed tackled in the MLS on a very, very hot day. It's just the way it is.
You see the deals he got throughout that? Like, he's got a part of Apple TV stake. He's got every little thing he could possibly imagine. It's almost like he got a Saudi deal without getting a Saudi deal.
I think you can even add on to that, Aaron. The biggest thing he might have got out of that TV deal is huge.
Was it ownership too?
Ownership. That's the one. That's the one. I think because he sees this as this is a monumental shift. It happened with Pele, back in the 70s. It's going to happen. Look at what it did with Cristiano going to Saudi Arabia. True. Look at the amount of money that he generated just going to Saudi, and that league's on its way up now. This is kind of what I think. I know, right? I wish it wasn't.
Dumpster.
But I think this is kind of what Messi's seeing as he saw what Cristiano did in a country like that. You actually have a more established country when it comes to the league and what they're trying to produce.
Or structure in general,
Structure in general. I think that's what he's looking at too. And a place for his family. I mean, then again, he did pick one of the worst states I think he could pick, but whatever.
No, not true. No, not true. Because now they can't hit him for taxes.
I was talking about like family in general.
Florida.
Kids. Florida. But, Messi is finally going to become that Florida guy. That you see in all the
Florida man
articles. So I could see that becoming something pretty funny if he does stink it up, but. I don't think he will. He's the best player I think I've ever seen. I think he's going to rip this league to shreds. I don't think – what sucks is pick the team in last place, dude.
Yeah.
Pick the team in last place.
They're on a 5-game, 6-game losing streak that I last time knew. I don't remember. I haven't looked up.
They're so bad. I don't think there's a team that is quite – how do you put it? As putrid and from top to bottom, there's not a good player in the team, but it looks like they're giving Messi the reins to be manager as well because it looks like Busquets is coming.
I was gonna say
Jordi Alba's
Barcelona reunion in Miami.
So they were gonna try to get Luis Suarez. He's at Grêmio right now in Brazil.
Yeah, and
there's a story going around that what he was gonna do was retire, and because he has this nagging knee injury, right?
Yeah.
He's going to retire and then come out of retirement for Messi. But Gremio's like, no.
You can't
we want
doing
some money.
That. Yeah.
You give us some money and we'll let it happen. So I thought that was kind of a funny little thing to throw in there. But I think he's going to try to create his own super team. We saw it with the Miami Heat, with LeBron and Bosh and Wade.
Right.
This is Messi's
trying to create a brand. He's
Yeah.
creating a brand right now, like Tom Brady essentially. He's doing a brand in America. That's what's happening.
I would say that's probably going to be the hottest selling jersey in sports next year.
All tickets were sold.
Guys,
yes,
you can say all those names all you want. You're missing the biggest one.
Thierry Henry.
No. The reason why Inter Miami is a thing.
David Beckham.
David Beckham did this deal years ago. We were in high school. We might have been in middle school. He did the same deal years and years ago.
True.
And Messi looked at it and went, hey, that's my ticket. And I agree with everything else you guys were saying. Sorry, I just got a call from my realtor. When you buy a house, it never ends. But it was a good call, so life's okay.
Good.
Yeah, something needed to be fixed, and the sellers are going to fix it, and we don't have to, so it's always great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, David Beckham did it, and he's the reason why Inter Miami is a thing, and now Inter Miami is doing it, and it's just, I find it interesting how it continues on. But other notes we have: Mbappe won't renew at PSG. I don't believe any of that, and it has nothing to do with the Premier League. Let's move on. I'm just kidding. He has been going to Real Madrid every single transfer window since he moved to PSG, maybe since he was good at Monaco. I don't know. I don't really care either, because if you ask me, Real Madrid got their guy in Jude Bellingham.
Yeah,
and it looks, and they just got Joselu yesterday, who I don't know how in the world this guy is at Real Madrid. If you look at what he was when he was in the Premier League, remember Joselu from Newcastle?
Yeah,
he was awful. He was awful.
Well,
yeah.
That was the whole Martin.
Talk about a late bloomer.
Thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so they just brought him in, and now there's rumors that they obviously you got him. He's got, Jude's wearing the Zidane number now, which is kind of, I thought that was a neat choice, to be honest with you. But they're still looking at attackers, and I do think PSG tries to cash in on him at some point. You can't let the best young player in the world walk free.
You definitely cash in on him.
You got to.
You definitely do.
You get $100 million.
Potentially, I mean, I think PSG is going to look at Neymar and Mbappe and Messi, and they may not have been the three players that they needed, but they were the three players that were going to bring them the most amount of money outside of football.
Yeah.
And you don't lose two of them in the same transfer window.
I'm going to throw this little wrench in this whole thing. So obviously, earlier we were talking about the Saudis doing all this mischief behind the scenes, right? If Qatar buys United, does Mbappe or Neymar go to United?
Neymar. We already said it in the live show. It's Neymar.
Yeah, it's Neymar. We already talked about it. It's Neymar.
I would think that's something you got to think about it down the road. Maybe not. I mean, if things have to fall into place, but I could either see Neymar
realistically,
that, or he goes to Inter Miami.
Realistically, by the time everything gets done, it won't be Neymar. It will be someone else. But if the Saudis had bought Manchester United, then I would be seeing Neymar to United.
Oh yeah,
not the Saudis, the Qataris. If they had done that, I would be seeing Neymar to United right now. That 100%. All right, guys, it's fun as always. I'm not sure if we have other stuff we want to talk about this season. If we do, there will be a part 3. If not, maybe we'll keep it a part 2.
Trilogy?
A trilogy. Maybe we'll turn it into a cycle and a saga. I don't know. But what I do know is we're about 100, not 100. We are about an hour and 20 minutes into this. And I have daughters and a wife who want me to go do stuff. So we got to peace out. Anyone have any final thoughts?
No.
I think I'm going to say this. I think the Premier League should have embargo. Put it out tomorrow morning. Do it. I want to wake up. I want to see some good news like that. That's what I'm hoping.
That would be very good news. That would be very good news. What about you, Aaron?
In a positive way.
Make sure you apply sunblock, everybody.
Yep. And spay and neuter your pets.
Oh, yes. Oh, classic.
All right, guys, this has been Swinging at Shins. If you are still with us, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like. Please leave a comment. Please say hey. We had a little bit great back and forth with John. I think his name, I don't remember what his name was. John something, Man City fan. Love that kind of engagement. Engagement is great for us. So anything like that. I'm going to start remembering to do this at the top and not at the bottom. But hey, don't worry about it. If you're still here, just say hi. That works for us.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, have a good week.
Adios.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Links for anything that you could be interested in, whether it's the YouTube channel, our podcast links, our social media links, everything's in the description below. Thank you very much for listening.